Today we're talking about putting up Halloween decorations. There's two pretty important tips that I like to share with you about putting up lights. First is I always use a timer, and that way your lights always come on and turn off whether you're home or not. Second thing I do that I've found to be extremely helpful is to wrap your lights around a box, cardboard, whatever you have, and mark them. So like in this case, you see I wrote garage on there, and that way I know when I get these lights out where they go. I don't have to unwind them and figure out, oh, do these go in the front bushes or the back of the house or whatever. So those are two tips that I really wanted to share with you that would help tremendously. As far as putting these up, obviously I'm going to plug that into the wall, set the time on it. You see I've already set it to where it'll turn on at 5 p.m., turn off at 11 p.m. It's not quite dark yet at 5, but once we hit daylight savings time, it'll start getting dark around 5. So that's a pretty good time to have the lights on. Obviously you can set it for whatever time you want or need. And then if you need to have multiple lights coming off of here, you can put one of those splitters on there, and then like in my case, these are the garage lights. I may have some other lights coming off of the same timer here. Okay, I'm going to run 3 separate zones of lights. You see I've got them designated as front bedroom, front door, and garage. That just tells me where these lights are basically running. Obviously you have your own, how you set it up. Because I have 3, I'm using a 3-way splitter, and since it's Halloween, it has to be orange, right? You can't use any other colors. So I'm going to plug that splitter into here, and then I'm going to set the clock. It's about 1 o'clock, and it says that it's 3 p.m. so you just turn it till you get to the right time. It's actually about 12:55, so in any event, that is now set, and it'll come on at 5 p.m. and you basically plug the 3 different zones of lights into these 3 spots here, and this can handle it. This particular unit can be mounted to the wall with small screw or nail. I don't usually do that. I usually just set it with the resistance of the wires, and then I'll staple the wires to the wall, and that'll kind of hold it to the wall. I don't want to put nail holes or screw holes into my house. Before you get too far into it, it's usually a good idea to plug them in and see if they're working. If you have any, I usually don't worry if it's one bulb or something, but if you have sections that are out, there's actually a pretty cool tool that you can plug in. Looks like a gun. You pull the trigger on it and it sends a little burst of power through the line, and sometimes that'll turn back the sections back on, or at least let you figure out if there's multiple bulbs that are out that are causing the problem. This particular strand looks pretty good, so I'm not worried about it. Alright, this is the tool that you use if you're needing to fix a section of lighting. Basically, you plug the socket into there, pull the trigger, and it sends a little burst of power. You can check to make sure that your battery's working as long as it's lighting up. I think it's getting low because it's not making a lot of noise, but like I said, this section of lights is fine. But basically you just pull the bulb out, plug the socket onto here, and once it's connected, you just pull the trigger a couple times and you'll see the bulbs flicker or not, and that usually will tell you which bulbs are dead, and then you can start replacing bulbs. Or if the whole section is out and you pull the trigger, a lot of times pull the trigger a couple times and suddenly the whole section will light up again. You see how coming across there you have lights, and basically you'd want this to just be cord. So there's different ways that you can do this. One would be obviously to put an extension cord there and have the lights actually start wherever you're wanting to do. The other way, and I'm not going to do this on camera, I've done this before. It's not that it's a lot of work, it's just I don't really feel like doing that right now. It's not that important to me to make this look custom, but basically what you do, you find where there's just the two wires like this. You mark them thoroughly. It's not a right or wrong answer here, just mark them so that you know which is which. Cut them, solder in extra wire in a custom length, whatever you need. Like this might be 10 feet or so. And then, so like if you've cut this one and marked it, say you marked it red, solder in 10 feet of wire there and connect it back. And then same thing here. Mark this blue, black, white, whatever. And then that way you can make custom gaps in your lighting. I've done that with Christmas lights and so forth. Not too worried that there's a couple feet of lights here that aren't going to the bushes, but if it starts to bug me, I can always custom cut it and do that instead of putting in an extension cord. The other thing that I've done here, which is the reason for needing this block, is I do have an extension cord, and basically that extension cord runs up and around, and so that there's a power source on the other side of the door so that you're not walking across wires when this is all done. So basically that kind of goes like this. So that way the power source can start over here. Alright, if you're going to be stapling any of the wires, I like to use a shorter staple. This is a 5/16. Doesn't go quite so deep into the wall, so you can remove it easier. The main thing to remember is just get the wire in that little gap there when you're stapling so you don't staple through the wire. I'm going to staple right here. That'll hold that. Alright, up here I have some staples left over from prior years. And it does make it easier since I run my Halloween and Christmas lights pretty much in the same sort of pattern, so that way I don't have to waste any staples here. I wanted to show you a trick. Keep these from coming apart. Basically, when you get your cords, you act like you're tying them in a knot and then connect them, and then that way when you're pulling, that won't come apart. I just try to evenly distribute the lights and just use the bushes to hold them in place. So that's what the final product looks like, all plugged in. That's been a favorite over the years. You store them with the batteries out, obviously, but keeps them from leaking. The trick to hanging ghosts or anything else you want to hang invisibly is using fishing line. To tie it, you want to go left over right and under, and then right over left and under, and then pull together, and that will make where it won't come apart. So like if you were hanging that around a tree, for example, obviously you'd have this end fished through whatever you're hanging, but that's how you make it to where it won't come apart. I usually just get these yard stakes and drive them into the ground. And I usually will put fishing line around the top. The hands coming out of the ground. And I have these solar lights and they're charging right now. Once they're kind of charged up, I'll place them in various places that need some light. The decorations like that, these are called yard staples, lawn staples. They're usually enough to pull down these guys. The trick is obviously finding dirt that's soft enough to push them all the way in. Everybody always says don't use a screwdriver and hit with a hammer, so I'm going to do that. And that'll hold down